Hello and welcome to Unews for this Friday, June 21st. I'm Andrea Linares. Thanks so much for joining us. A military operation to strike Iran over the downing of a U.S. drone was set to begin Thursday night, but then all of a sudden, President Trump stopped that operation just 10 minutes before it was set to launch. The strikes would have hit 3 different sites. The escalating crisis between the U.S. and Iran has prompted the FAA to ban flights near the Persian Gulf. The Dubai-based airline Emirates is already rerouting all flights away from the Strait of Hormuz. It's one of the most important strategic waterways in the world as it links crude oil producers with key markets. If the strait were to be closed because of this ongoing threat, it would be a massive blow to the world's economy. The House Judiciary Committee released a transcript of the testimony of former Trump confidant Hope Hicks. The Ministry of Tourism in the Dominican Republic offered some insight into the investigation currently underway to determine the cause of death of at least 9 Americans at different resorts. Lorraine Cáceres has the very latest on this.
Violent, so they're urging people to not be afraid to visit the country. It's actually one of the safest countries in the region. Nevertheless, people should be very careful and, exercise the precautions that any foreigner exercises when they travel outside of their country.
Of course, and what are they saying about the possibility, perhaps, of poisoning with counterfeit alcohol or even pesticides?
Well, they're looking into it. They say that in relations to the pesticides, they haven't found any irregularities. They pointed out that if indeed dangerous chemicals were being used in the process of, fumigating the areas and the hotels, people would be dying by the dozens, and that is not the case right now. In the case of the alcohol, they're looking as well into those allegations. They say they buy their alcohol from very reliable sources and vendors, and of course, this alcohol is being consumed by a lot of people. So again, they are expecting that if it's related to something poisonous or counterfeit in these alcohols, that a lot of people would be getting sick and dying, and right now that's not the case.
Well, either way, a lot of people are canceling their trips to the DR as a result of all this. It's very, very bizarre. So thank you so much, Lorraine, for that information, for keeping us posted on this case. In other news, dozens of police officers in Philadelphia have been pulled from the streets and placed on administrative duty. This after an advocacy group revealed a database earlier this month of thousands of offensive posts and even comments by current and former officers. And now police departments across the country, like in Philadelphia, are taking action. Carolina Sarasa has more on this growing outrage. As the race for 2020 ramps up, our own Enrique Acevedo has been sitting down with various Democratic presidential candidates to talk about the issues that matter to them and their vision for the country. Just this week, Enrique grabbed tacos with another Democratic hopeful, former San Antonio mayor and Obama cabinet member, Julian Castro. Let's take a look. Coming up next, after years, and now let's go to New York State, where the Assembly passed a bill to improve the lives of farm workers there after years of pushing for labor protections. Farm workers can now look forward to benefits like the right to unionize and collect overtime. Peggy Carranza has more.
Enacted, the legislation is expected to take effect in January. In New York City, Peggy Carranza, Unews.
As summer approaches, the Mexican consulate in McAllen, Texas is ramping up efforts to identify the bodies of migrants, many of whom die from dehydration while attempting to cross into the United States. Nidia Cavazos has more on the steps being taken to locate those missing.
Border Patrol officials tell us that the search for bodies becomes even more difficult throughout Texas because most of their staff is currently focused on processing Central American migrants who are requesting asylum. Back to you, Andrea.
Thank you, Nidia, for that report. And on Monday, President Trump took to Twitter to announce that ICE would begin massive deportations of undocumented immigrants. And although it's unclear whether the administration will follow through on that threat, a rapid response network is already preparing to respond and making sure that immigrants know their rights. Jaime Garcia has the story. Coming up next, a shocking confession. And welcome back to Unews. Thanks for staying with us. Now we have a fascinating story to tell you about. A team of doctors performed the first fetal surgery for spina bifida at Ohio's Cleveland Clinic back in February. At the time, the fetus was at 23 weeks gestation. Dr. Daryl Cass, director of fetal surgery at Cleveland Clinic's Fetal Center, led the multi-specialty team, and he has performed more than one. And police in Connecticut have been searching a trash facility for any clues about the fate of missing mother Jennifer Dulos for the last 2 weeks. But now Navy prosecutors have charged Edward Gallagher, a decorated Navy SEAL, of murder for stabbing and killing an ISIS prisoner in Iraq in 2017 rather. But in a stunning twist Thursday, a medic deployed with Gallagher said he was the one who ended the prisoner's life after Gallagher stabbed him. Maite Interiano has those details. Still ahead, we'll tell you where migrants from Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto has been facing a series of investigations for various acts of alleged corruption while in office. But as Jorge Hernandez explains, he may be off the hook thanks to a technicality and a seeming lack of interest by the current administration in pursuing prosecution. And still ahead, who works more? Check in with Carolina Sarasa. She's got a preview of what's coming up during the second hour of Unews. Caro, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Andrea. Thank you. We do have a lot more coming up, and today we have new details on the investigation behind the most recent school shooting in the U.S. The two teenagers who opened fire at a school in Colorado spoke to authorities about the motive they had and how they planned it for weeks. And we also have the amazing story of a young man in California who went to law school but couldn't practice because of his status. Sergio Garcia sued and got recently an outcome on his case. We have his story. And we'll dig into the controversy behind a recently discovered audio recording. Some believe it has the voice of iconic Mexican artist Frida Kahlo. This story and more coming up. Andrea, back to you.
Thanks so much, Caro. And by the way, don't go anywhere. Get your phones ready because guess what? It's National Selfie Day. More on this. Welcome back to Unews. He's an actor, dancer, and a Latin Grammy award-winning singer-songwriter. Pedro Capó talks to Ivania Garcia about collaborating with Farruko and also Alicia Keys in today's edition of Euphoria Unplugged. Check it out. Such a catchy and wonderful song. So Prince William is adding another candle to his birthday cake. The Duke of Cambridge turns 37 today. Go ahead and take a photo, take a selfie today because today is National Selfie Day. It may be hard to believe, but selfies actually existed before. So hashtag National Selfie Day and post it online. And also perhaps you can mention Univision News and we perhaps will also mention you. That's all the time that we have for the first hour of Unews. So stay tuned for our second hour. We have much more information coming up next with Carolina Sarasa. I wish you all a happy Friday and a wonderful weekend. Enjoy, everyone.